In 2013, an entire town in Louisiana vanished overnight. No explosion, no storm, no warning, just a lake that opened its mouth and swallowed everything. Houses, trees, cars, gone without a trace. What happened beneath the surface still terrifies scientists, because this was not a myth or a legend. It was real. Bayou Corne, a quiet, forgotten town deep in the heart of Louisiana, a place where time moved slowly and the swamp's rhythm set the pace of life. Families fished in the bayou, children played beneath the shade of cypress trees, and every sunset painted the water gold. But beneath the calm beauty of this small town, the earth was changing. Beneath their feet, miles underground, lay something ancient, a massive dome of solid salt formed over millions of years. These salt domes stretch for kilometers, like buried mountains beneath the surface. Over time, industries learned to drill into them, carving out enormous caverns to store gas and oil. It seemed safe. For decades, nothing went wrong. Until the summer of 2012, when the ground began to whisper. It started with bubbles, small pockets of gas rising through the bayou water. Locals thought it was methane, natural swamp gas, nothing unusual. But soon the bubbles multiplied, spreading across canals and ponds like something alive. The air began to smell strange, oily, metallic. Fishermen said the water felt different, heavier, unstable. And then came the tremors. At night, people felt their houses vibrating. Glasses rattled in cupboards. Dogs barked endlessly. The earth was restless. Scientists and state officials came to investigate. They tested the air, the water, the soil. But no one could find the source. Some thought it was a leaking pipeline. Others whispered that an underground explosion was imminent. Yet no one could imagine what was truly happening. That beneath their quiet town, the very structure of the earth was beginning to collapse. On the morning of August 3, 2013, the impossible happened. Residents woke to a low rumbling sound, deep, continuous, unnatural. And then the ground gave way. Trees began to tilt, roots snapping like bones. Within seconds, entire sections of forest were gone, sucked straight into the earth. What looked like a small depression became a vortex of chaos. Mud, gas, and water erupted from below, twisting the air into a haze. A witness described it as watching the earth breathe and then exhale death. In less than 10 minutes, a massive sinkhole had formed, a perfect circular crater over 30 acres wide and more than 200 feet deep. It didn't stop there. The hole began to fill with water, transforming into a dark, bubbling lake that continued to grow day by day. The trees on its edge trembled, then vanished, one by one. From above, it looked like the swamp itself had opened an eye. Within hours, state geologists and engineers arrived at the scene. What they discovered beneath Bayou Corne was terrifying, not because it was supernatural, but because it was human. The sinkhole had formed directly above a salt dome cavern operated by a company called Texas Brine. Decades of mining had hollowed out enormous chambers deep below ground, and one of those chambers had collapsed. The failure triggered a chain reaction. The rock layers cracked, gas escaped through fissures, and the ground above simply caved in. A geological catastrophe born from human hands. Scientists called it a subsidence event. But for the people who lived there, it was a nightmare. The sinkhole kept expanding for months, swallowing roads, power lines, and acres of forest. The smell of gas hung in the air. Water turned black. The ground around the lake continued to shift, slowly, unpredictably. Residents were told to leave. Some refused, hoping the earth would calm. But the earth never does. By late 2013, the government declared Bayou Corne uninhabitable. Families packed what they could and drove away, leaving behind generations of memories. The town fell silent. Houses stood abandoned, mail still sitting in boxes, toys scattered in yards, frozen in time. In less than a year, a living community had become a ghost town. Nature began reclaiming what was left. Vines crept across roofs. Insects and birds returned. The lake grew still. But even in its silence, the place felt uneasy, like the ground was holding its breath. Scientists continued studying the sinkhole for years. They found that beneath the water still lies a vast, hollow cavern, partially collapsed, still unstable. Methane bubbles continue to rise. Occasionally, the lake still shifts, releasing gas with a deep rumble. Even today, residents of nearby areas say they sometimes hear the earth move. But there's another layer to this story, one that no measurement can explain. Those who return to Bayou Corne speak of the silence, not the peaceful kind, but the kind that feels aware. The trees surrounding the lake lean inward, as if watching the water. On calm days, the surface reflects the sky perfectly, too perfectly. It's beautiful and deeply unsettling. What happened in Bayou Corne was no myth. It was a warning, a reminder of how fragile the boundary is between earth and abyss. We think of the ground as solid, eternal, but under the right conditions, even the strongest foundation can crumble in seconds. The people of Bayou Corne learned that the hard way. Today, the sinkhole still exists. Calm, still, deceptively peaceful. But deep beneath that mirror of water lies a hollow space, silent, immense, waiting. Science has explained the how, but not the feeling. The sense that something ancient and powerful was unleashed. Maybe it's the memory of the earth itself, reminding us that it's alive. Because sometimes, the greatest mysteries aren't hidden in the stars above, but in the ground beneath our feet. If this mystery gave you chills, leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories hiding beneath the surface.